Everyone, and welcome back. Today's weather certainly is not as nice as it was yesterday, so I'm back inside for our video, but I'm still really excited to get into the second part of the Tale of Despereaux, and I also have a great mindful practice for us today. Now, this is one of our favorites in school, so those of you that have done this with me before, I hope you're excited. It will be a little different because when we're together, we have the opportunity to pass this around the room, but obviously we cannot do that virtually. So I hope you enjoy it just the same. For those of you that haven't done it with me before, I will explain. So to start, I would like you to just take your hands and place them on your rib cage and just take a big inhale in through your nose and exhale. And you should have felt your rib cage expand and contract as you were breathing, just as our sphere expands and contracts. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open this and close this a few times, and for each time you are going to follow the pace and inhale as long as I'm opening and exhale it as long as I'm closing it. Now sometimes I might do it a little faster, sometimes I might do it a little bit slower, and you just want to match your breath to the speed that I'm opening and closing this sphere. The other thing I want you to keep in mind is at no point are we holding our breath. So don't hold your breath at the top when it's open. The whole time I'm opening, you're inhaling. The whole time I'm closing, you're exhaling. We don't want anyone holding our breath. That sort of has the adverse effect that we're looking for. So to get started, we're going to inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, exhale. Now let's take the biggest breath we take all day. So the idea with this and using the sphere to assist in our breathing activity is that not only are we clearing our head and focusing only on the sphere and our breath, but it also helps with our attention and helps with our focus, similar to when we did the bells the other day, that just keeping our attention on this the whole time really does help us with our attention span. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as you do in person. For those of you that have done it before, for those of you that hadn't, I hope this has become one of your new favorite mindful practices. And now let's get into the Tale of Despereaux, Book the Second, Chiaroscuro. Chapter 16, Blinded by the Light. As our story continues, reader, we must go backward in time to the birth of a rat named Chiaroscuro, but called Roscuro, a rat born into the filth and darkness of the dungeon, several years before the mouse Despereaux was born upstairs in the light. Reader, do you know the definition of the word Chiaroscuro? If you look in your dictionary, you will find that it means the arrangement of light and dark, darkness and light together. Rats do not care for light. Roscuro's parents were having a bit of fun when they named him. Rats have a sense of humor. Rats, in fact, think that life is very funny. And they are right, reader. They are right. In the case of Chiaroscuro, however, the joke had a hint of prophecy. For it happened that when Roscuro was a very young rat, he came upon a great length of rope on the dungeon floor. "Ah, what have we here?" said Roscuro. Being a rat, he immediately began to nibble at the rope. "Stop that!" boomed a voice, and a great hand came out of the darkness and picked the rat up by his tail and held him suspended upside down. "Were you nibbling on Gregory's rope?" "Who wants to know?" said Roscuro, for even upside down he was still a rat. You smart alecky rat, nibbling on Gregory's rope. Gregory'll teach you to mess with his rope." And keeping Roscuro upside down, Gregory lit a match with the nail of his thumb, and then held the brilliant flame right in Roscuro's face. Ah, said Roscuro. He pulled his head back away from the light, but alas, he did not close his eyes, and the flame exploded around him and danced inside of him. Has no one told you the rules? Said Gregory. What rules? Gregory's rope is off limits. So? Apologize for chewing on Gregory's rope. I will not, said Roscuro. Apologize. No. Filthy rat, said Gregory. You black-souled thing. Gregory has had it with you rats. He held the match closer to Roscuro's face, and a terrible smell of burnt whiskers rose up around the jailer and the rat, and then the match went out and Gregory released Roscuro's tail. He flung him back into the darkness. Do not ever touch Gregory's rope again, or you'll be sorry. Roscuro sat on the dungeon floor. The whiskers on the left side of his face were gone. His heart was beating hard, and though the light from the match had disappeared, it danced still before the rat's eyes, even when he closed them. Light, he said aloud, and then he whispered the word again. Light. From that moment forward, Roscuro showed an abnormal and inordinate interest in illumination of all sorts. He was always in the darkness of the dungeon, on the lookout for light, the smallest glimmer, the tiniest shimmer. His rat soul longed inexplicably for it. He began to think that light was the only thing that gave life meaning, and he despaired that there was no light to be had. He finally voiced this sentiment to his friend, a very old one-eared rat named Botticelli Rimorso. I think, said Roscuro, that the meaning of life is light. Light, said Botticelli. Ha ha, you kill me. Light has nothing to do with it. What does it all mean, then? Asked Roscuro. The meaning of life, said Botticelli, is suffering, specifically the suffering of others. Prisoners, for instance, reducing a prisoner to weeping and wailing and begging is a delightful way to invest your existence with meaning. As he spoke, Botticelli swung from the one extraordinarily long nail of his right front paw a heart-shaped locket. He had taken the locket from a prisoner and hung it on a thin braided rope. Whenever Botticelli spoke, the locket moved back and forth, back and forth. It swung. Are you listening? Botticelli said to Roscuro. I am listening. Good, said Botticelli. Do as I say, and your life will be full of meaning. This is how to torture a prisoner. First, you must convince him that you are a friend. Listen to him, encourage him to confess his sins. And when the time is right, talk to him. Tell him what he wants to hear. Tell him, for instance, that you will forgive him. This is a wonderful joke to play upon a prisoner, to promise forgiveness. Why? Said Roscuro. His eyes went back and forth, following the locket. Because, said Botticelli, you will promise it, but you will not grant it. You gain his trust, and then you deny him. You refuse to offer the very thing he wants, forgiveness, freedom, friendship, whatever it is that his heart most desires. You withhold. At this point in his lecture, Botticelli laughed so hard that he had to sit down and catch his breath. The locket swayed slowly back and forth and then stopped altogether. Ha, said Botticelli. Ha ha! You gain his trust, you refuse him, and ha! You become what he knew you were all along, what you know you are. Not a friend, not a confessor, not a forgiver, ha ha ha, but a rat. Botticelli wiped his eyes and shook his head and sighed a sigh of great contentment. He set the locket in motion again. At that point, it is most effective to run back and forth over the prisoner's feet, introducing physical terror along with the emotional sort. Oh, he said, It is such a lovely game, such a lovely game, and it is just absolutely chock full of meaning. I would like very much to torture a prisoner, said Roscuro. I would like to make someone suffer. Your time will come, said Botticelli. Currently, other prisoners are spoken for. But another prisoner will arrive sooner or later. How do I know this to be true? Because, Roscuro, thankfully, there is evil in this world. And the presence of evil guarantees the existence of prisoners. So soon, there will be a prisoner for me? Yes, said Botticelli remorso. Yes. I'm looking forward to it. Ha ha, of course you are. You are looking forward to it because you are a rat, a real rat. Yes, said Roscuro, I am a real rat. Concerned not at all with the light, said Botticelli. Concerned not at all with the light, repeated Roscuro. Botticelli laughed again and shook his head. The locket, suspended from the long nail in his paw, swung back and forth, back and forth. You, my young friend, are a rat. Exactly, yes. Evil prisoners, rats, suffering, it all fits together so neatly, so sweetly. Oh, it is a lovely world, a lovely dark world. So that is chapter 16. We are going to stop there for today. I hope you enjoyed Botticelli Rimorso. It's one of my favorite voices to do when I do a read aloud. I'm not sure if you guys liked it, but I always have fun doing an accent, and a lot of my students know that I do love to do different accents. So tune in tomorrow. We will get into chapter 17. We'll learn a little bit more about our new friend Roscuro, and I hope you guys have a great night.